Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing good. And make sure I've got the correct mic. I believe so. I hope everyone's doing good. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure, of course, you do hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. And of course, any requested pairs, any markets you're looking at, feel free to let me know. Drop it in the chat. We'll be happy to take a look. Any markets you're trading or want to share with the community, of course, is always welcome. But we've got an interesting day up ahead. We had an interesting day yesterday. We had an NFP on a Tuesday, which is a very interesting scenario, but we did have it. It did cause some movement in the market, and of course, something we are definitely going to dive into today, see what's happening with the dollar USD crosses. Where's the dollar headed next? And of course, we still do have some news coming out. We still do have the yen. Let me actually get the economic calendar just so I can give you guys the correct date and times. But we do have the yen still coming out. The Bank of Japan interest rate decision. Again, rates expect to be higher than we do have yen. Pound, sorry, tomorrow. And we've got euro tomorrow as well. But euro expected to stay the same. So I'm not expecting too much drama then. Drama on the euro side of things, especially because euro has been holding rates for a while now. But yeah, pound is looking to cut 12 tomorrow. ECB at 115 tomorrow. I believe yen. The thing is, yen's always a bit dodgy. Sometimes they don't have the yen in the schedule in the calendar. I'm having a look at the moment. Okay, yeah, Bank of Japan 3 a.m. on Friday. Expected rate cut, but we'll see. The yen's always a little bit funny. But yeah, guys, welcome to the stream. What's up, Diablo? What's up? Hope you're doing good. Yes, we can take a look at pound yen for you as well, no problem. As always, guys, drop a like if you're enjoying the content, finding the channel useful. It does really help out. But we shall start with, I'll start with pound yen, and I'll go through the USD so we can kind of recap what happened yesterday. But yeah, we'll start with pound yen. So, I mean, again, you have to be a little bit careful with these yen pairs. Like I said, we got the news tomorrow. So I think if you are looking to trade them, best way to go about it is a bit more, not necessarily intraday, but just not looking to hold until Friday, basically, because that's where the drama could happen, especially if rates don't go up. And then you can have a lot of rebalancing in the market. And especially if you're intraday, that could rip you apart. So be careful there. But in terms of pound yen, the market is still quite bullish. I'm a bit skeptical, not only just with the news, but where price is trading. If I go to the weekly chart, you can see prices testing some highs we haven't been at for quite a while. This dates back to the high from last year, and price has just gone and taken out that high, and now we're starting to close back below. So already that's a bit sketchy. Already that's saying that, okay, is momentum really still strong enough to keep us bullish? We're seeing some warning signs there, and of course, added to the situation of the news coming out soon, that's a bit more fuel to the fire. So do I really want to be buying up at this level? Short term, you can still squeeze something out the market. Anything more than day, you're in dangerous waters, I would suggest. There is still some buying pressure below us. You can see the consolidation here, and then price did break to the upside. What I will also say is that you can see the ATR market is compressing, which means the activity is dropping, probably in apprehense of the news coming out. And of course, it is the holidays as well. So naturally, market volume will be pointing down on the higher timeframes. But again, not a good situation, especially when we're at an extreme of a high, which is probably going to take a lot of activity, a lot of volume for us to actually see the breakout, which could come on Friday when the rates do come. So again, that's why it's always smart to wait for the big news events to happen and then trade afterwards. So you get the bigger picture, because of course volume could expand to the downside, it could expand up, who's to know. But we do have support, which we're coming back into, which is why I said short term makes sense. Coming back into volume there, nice push to the upside. It could still be a bit of a bounce, which we have seen the past couple of days. You can see one daily candle bounce, second daily candle bounce. No follow through though, which is the critical thing. No follow through. Like I said, I'm not expecting to see follow through at least till Friday. So again, we're coming back into the range high. There still could be another bounce again at the low here. So that could be a nice short-term trade to look into. Price rejects support where we found support yesterday. That could be a nice trade back into resistance, but of course you have to watch out here. Even the range high, we did consolidate here and then drop pretty heavily as well. So we're seeing some pressure from a selling perspective. So we're going to need even more volume to actually go and break through that zone as well. So it's just a lot of red flags here for pound yen. Yes, you still want to be a buyer. I wouldn't want to be looking to sell the market, but it's going to be pivotal on healthy rejection here, and then looking to take profits fairly early as we push back to resistance, and basically looking to be out by Friday. Raphael, BTC short at 1 hour at 1 day for the TP 80K. Okay, we can take a look at that. Okay, so you're shorting on the daily chart. Interesting. We'll take a look. Yes, Ryan, we could take a look at Euro USD. I need to drop it once, my man. But I'll take a look at Euro after I do BTC. Of course, if there's any particular time frames you want me to look at, let me know as well, so I can look at those time frames for you. But yeah, in terms of BTC, see, I'm not looking for any sustained move. I'm very much in the mindset that BTC is at a very strong area of value. We could be looking to consolidate and probably have a breakout. Of course, which direction, I don't know. But we do have a big zone here, which you have to be very skeptical of. So you can see price did consolidate here, the last bullish leg basically, and gave us a lot of momentum to the upside. So we are coming back to an area where participants could look to enter the market, and we could just continue the trend and BTC becomes bullish again. So from a weekly perspective, I'm waiting to see what price is going to do. Of course, we've fired some wicks into here, which shows we are finding support, but no momentum has really come into the market. So I wouldn't suggest that, yeah, we are going to push up. I want to see that momentum come first, and then that gives us the confirmation, okay, we're likely to keep pushing up. We don't have that momentum just yet. Any buys now is a bit premature, kind of guessing a little bit. In terms of the daily chart, if you're shorting that to 80K, it's not such, 80K is not that far away. Effectively, you're saying you're looking for price to push back to that low. Could happen, might not happen. You're seeing some rejection here already as well. So you do have some obstacles in your way. I'm not the biggest fan of the short, to be honest, just because I know the zone we're trading the higher time frame. Not that price can't get there. We very much can. Momentum is still with the bears, I would definitely argue. It's just that we do have support, and I know where we're trading. Do I really want to be selling here? No, not really. So for that reason, I would take the short. I can see why though, because the trend is still down. We're still failing at highs. You would expect another drive lower. It's just about how far we drive lower and for how long we drive lower. Will it be enough to get to 8? Will it be enough to get to 80K potentially? I would say keep an eye on this level to your left here. So if we do start to stall there, that could be a nice nice area to take some partials and just protect the trade a little bit. Of course, if we just get some follow through, you're looking good. 80K probably looks likely at that point. Just be careful. That's the main advice I would give. But in terms of direction, I do think you're trading the right way because momentum's still down. It's just the zone we're trading in, doesn't agree. If this zone was like down here, then yeah, you're looking really good because you got some empty space to push into. Not at the moment though. Okay, so yeah, we'll go take a look at Euro USD now. Check BTC from bigger time frames to M50, M5. Okay. So you're not looking to short on the day; you're looking to short intraday. Okay, we can take a look at that, and now I'll go through Euro. I'll go through all the USD pairs because they're looking fairly interesting. Raphael, even if BTC will ultimately go up, but still take the liquidity at 80K. But still to take the liquidity at 80K. Don't I think it will first down for? Yeah, but it's not guaranteed, Raphael. Price doesn't necessarily need to take liquidity to go up. Of course, it tends to do that, but it's not guaranteed. So as a result, my bet wouldn't be that price is going to take liquidity. My bet would be once I see adequate momentum from this zone, my bet would be that price is going to continue. That's a high probability opportunity because you've seen the buying pressure and prices are likely to continue. Price doesn't necessarily have to go and take out that low before going up. It would be a nice confluence if it was to do that. So let's say price does go and take out that low and then sees a lot of buying pressure. That would be a really nice opportunity for some longs to take it higher. Absolutely, I agree. But it's not guaranteed. So I wouldn't bet that the market has to go there, especially with support in my way. So I understand the logic. I do think if price does take liquidity, then sees momentum, that's a great opportunity in itself to go up. But I wouldn't sell towards that low, especially because I know where we're trading, which is a weekly area of demand. So it doesn't quite add up. Again, that's just my logic behind it. I can see your logic, and yeah, I think price could actually go and sweep the lows before pushing higher. It's just I don't want to be shorting into that noise. So for that reason, I would stay away. But if we can do that, yeah, it's a great buy. So yeah, if I drop to the intraday time frames, we'll drop to the 30 minutes, see what's going on over there. We did speak about the intraday opportunities yesterday for BTC. So yeah, yesterday we spoke about this range here. We said price is consolidating. Let me draw that again. We said price is consolidating here. And then we started to see momentum yesterday. And I said, okay, momentum looks decisive here. If you could see a break and retest, that'd be a great trade just to take it back towards this area number one. But then I said towards the kind of the range here where price consolidated. Looks like we kind of hit the first target, didn't really see the follow through. But we hit the first area, then start to lose momentum, and then momentum picked up kind of over the Asian session. So unless you're awake, it can be difficult to manage that trade. But now we are back here again. So we did find support here. We found momentum and we pushed through. Can we do that again? Potentially. At the moment, I would still say the market is quite flat. Is this ATR? Yes. I need to get that chart. So yeah, momentum is still quite flat here. You can see ATR there is quite flat as well. I would say if we see strong momentum, like a strong close, and ATR picks up as well, that could be a nice trade because effectively, this is where the buying pressure accumulated. We saw push up, retested, saw some nice movement, didn't get any follow through. Price is now back at that same area. Maybe now we get the follow through. So this would be a bullish zone here for longs, but of course, no confirmation yet for the buy. If you're looking to sell, then effectively what you want to be looking for, if I remove that zone, effectively what you want to be looking for is either price to break through that zone and respect it as resistance. So basically just support turn resistance, or effectively you want to push back towards this area here, where of course we did see some momentum. Price could come back into that zone, reject well. If momentum pushes, you can catch a nice sell. Of course, you do have some obstacles in your way over here, so you have to be careful. But yeah, I wouldn't be looking to short on the 30, 15 minute now. This is not the best place for that. We're coming back into the middle of, of a lot of volume here, so I would be careful there. Breakthrough, however, yeah, then a retest, that makes sense for some shorts. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. So we'll take a look at euro dollar, or people are asking about euro USD. So yeah, euro USD, of course, we had NFP yesterday. Price spiked up. So we saw initially dollar strength, which drove price higher. However, that was short-lived because pretty much the next candle peaked to the upside, and now we're coming back down, and we're looking pretty bearish on the 4-hour. Intraday, we're looking pretty bearish as well. So momentum at the moment is currently with the bears. Now, I was actually hoping for a bit more upside this week for euro before we do flip bearish. I did say on my weekly analysis that yes, euro is pretty bullish at the moment. I do expect a bit more upside this week, but be careful. We do have significant resistance above us, which has seen a lot of rejection. Do I expect price to break through that? We can, but I don't expect us to have the momentum needed to break through. I'm actually looking at euro as a bit of a range at the moment, and effectively we've just come to the top end of the range, and we could start to see price start to do this now. Of course, in terms of direction, I'm not too sure. We could break up, we could break down. I'm not going to try and predict that, but what I can say is that, okay, the higher the range is doing its job, we could probably expect price to drift more towards the mean now, more towards areas of support below. So euro USD, especially if we drop to the lower time frames, let's drop to the 4-hour chart. So euro USD, again, we had the spike there. There's, of course, a lot of momentum from here as well. So this could be a bit of a draw for price. We could be attracted towards this area. We are technically breaking some structure here as well. Momentum has picked up pretty well too. So I would suggest if we truly are going to be bearish, if we are going to actually see price flip bearish here, in terms of an opportunity, if I can drop to, let's say drop to an hour chart, because effectively what we're saying is we've had a consolidation, price tried to break to the upside, failed, so potentially trapping some buyers up here. And then we've got price flipping over bearish. So this is potentially where the actual move is headed. If that's the case, what we should see is a correction and then a continuation back to the next zone, which we identified is down here. So effectively, we should pull back and hold this zone here. So if we could see price push into this, maybe see some wicks, a projection, a strong close, that itself could be a nice entry to take it back into the low, or even a push towards the high of the range there. That could also be a smart place for a trade. That way you get entries here, some stops above the high. You can either target the swing low or target the next level. What you don't want to see is price starting to break back above the opposite side of the range. That means that this is noise. Price hasn't really sussed out its direction. This fake out here hasn't really seeked the continuation you would expect it to, because effectively if price has swept the highs, now it's ready to drop. We should just pull back and continue. We shouldn't start seeing deep corrections. That means we probably haven't taken enough liquidity to actually see the move. So yeah, with Euro USD, I would say if you're looking for the trade for maybe that, well, from now to the end of the week, shorts looks like the dominant factor, and it coincides with where we're trading in the higher time frames, which is like what I said, we just respected the high of the range. So it's not like we're shorting from a random area here. We're shorting from an area where we're seeing significant resistance. In fact, if you go to the weekly chart, actually, if I just block everything out, if I go to the weekly chart and look at my crosshair, we haven't actually seen a successful candle close above this price since we started forming this level back in June 2025. So every time a weekly candle has come back to this level, it's left a piercing wick, price pulls back, we can't sustain this level. So you're shorting from an area of value, shorting from an area of significance. Yeah, I wouldn't bet on a full swing back to the low here, but perhaps 50% of this move here, if I get the fib out, 50% of that move, which of course coincides with that range there we talked about in the 4-hour chart. So it adds up quite nicely, actually. So yeah, Euro, I do see a bit more downside. Hopefully that made sense there. Pound USD, okay, we could take a look. Similar situation there as well. Keep an eye on pound. I do think some shorts could set up quite nicely there. We'll talk about New Zealand yen for Shadrach, no problem. Yep, we just went through Euro. Rafael, dollar CHF, dollar CAD longs at 4-hour. Euro CAD shorts at 4-hour as well. Okay, yeah, we could speak about those two. A lot of USD pairs to get through. What's up, Rowan, my man? I hope you're doing good. Nice trading FTSE this morning. It's making crazy moves. I'm actually kept an eye on FTSE, so I'm interested to see what's going on there. We'll take a look. CS, my man, hope you're doing good. Don't forget to smash the like button. Appreciate it. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like. It does really help. Subscribe to the channel, and of course, hit the bell as well so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads. But I do appreciate everyone who has liked so far. Lorraine, good afternoon. Pound USD. Yeah, we're just about to take a look. So I'll go through a bunch of USD pairs. Now I'll take a look at New Zealand yen, Euro CAD as well. Of course, any other requests, drop it in the chat. We can take a look. We can also take a look at the DXY as well. I wonder if this NFP event might change things in terms of direction for USD, because we have been falling. Maybe this event is actually going to do something in terms of direction. I mean, so far it looks like it is. In terms of pound USD, pound USD is an interesting one, because not only do we have that USD strength coming in, we've also potentially got pound weakness being priced in as well, because of course expected rate cut tomorrow. Looks like we're seeing some pound weakness off the back of that too. So extra volatility here coming into play. Now with pound, if I zoom out to the higher time frames, like the weekly chart, we have come back into a bit of a range here, and potentially what I'm looking at is price having a breakout of a range now to come back and retest the range. So effectively, this is where price has been stuck, back and forth. We've now pulled back into the range potentially just so we can now continue our path lower. If that's going to be the case, I do want to see a pretty nice, strong rejection candle this week. It's still early. It's only midweek, it's Wednesday. So it'll be nice to see maybe like a bearish engulfing on the weekly chart. Then that could be the catalyst for a lot more downside for pound USD. Effectively, you got consolidation, breakout, retest, continuation. Simple but effective pattern in the market there. So the shorts are interesting. We did close above VWAP, so that's a bit of a red flag there, which is why I've been apprehensive to get short on pound USDs, because we did hold above VWAP. You can see since we had this kind of massive rejection here, which actually was the start of the Fed rate cut cycle, actually, when they decided to cut rates. This is the move that followed, and price has been holding pretty well below VWAP. So that has been a bit of a bearish sentiment, and now price has broken above that. So it's a bit of a red flag, a bit of a warning sign. Not necessarily that price is now 100% bullish, but it's a sign to be a bit careful. So again, it does coincide with that weekly engulfing candle I mentioned. If we can see price follow through from now to the end of the week, I do think that's probably the catalyst that's going to send us back to these lows and further. As for pound USD, a bit more intraday. Again, similar chart to euro, which is we had a consolidation, price spiked higher, and now we've dropped lower. We were talking about some longs above that. I'm not sure if there was even an entry actually. Let me have a look, see, because we were discussing some buys yesterday back to the high, but I think we might, there's no entry, at least on a retest anyway. If you're looking for a breakout, you might have found something, but we discussed the break and retest day yesterday, but the market did not pull back. That's one of the downsides sometimes of looking for a break and retest, is because if the market is too bullish, it just won't pull back. You have to look for a market which is bullish enough to get a breakout, but also not that bullish that it will actually have a pullback and then continue. So it's a bit of a soft spot you're actually looking for a break and retest, a true break and retest to fall. Because what the bad break and retest will look like is a market that has a breakout, but not with a lot of force, and then pulls back to retest, and then that's normally the trade that fails. You want to see enough momentum to indicate this is real buying pressure, but not too much that price just continues, which is tricky to work out sometimes. But anyway, we have essentially a double top here, a failure to continue through highs, and now we're actually breaking through this low. So that there, again, is definitely a change of sentiment. You can see momentum's picking up as well to the downside there too. This is looking pretty bearish, but is there an opportunity to short pound USD? I'm struggling to see a good opportunity. Euro looks a bit better because we've got that range we can pull back into. I mean, pound, you do have a bit of a range here. Price could essentially pull back into as well. So there is some logic there. We are already coming back into areas of support at the moment. So that's why it's just a little bit of a sticky situation, shorting at these areas. Effectively, I would like to see a bit of a pullback there for pound back to some value, and that would mean a pullback roughly into this area, because of course this is where we had the consolidation, boom, big push down. We're a little bit imbalanced here. Can we pull back into some structure and then continue? That's where you can find a nice trade on a pullback. Shorting here doesn't look too good to me. So pound I would be pretty bearish on. But it's essential that we do have that pullback. I really do want to see price break back below the VWAP. If we do that, then that kind of means the bearish sentiment is back on from a volume perspective, which could provide the kick we actually need to get back to these lows and further as well. What I don't want to see from a bearish standpoint is price hold this level. If price does start to hold this level or starts to push back up, that is a very bullish sentiment, and perhaps we do push back towards resistance up there. We'll see if that does happen. But intraday, you need a pullback. There is some value above us, but there is support below us too. So it's a bit of a situation between a rock and a hard place. Euro, I feel like there's a bit more distance to cover and a bit more risk to reward opportunity. So I'd probably rather short euro, although pound is probably the weaker currency right now. So I mean, they're both showing similar setups. It's just I think euro is a bit better positioned to take advantage of it. We'll take a look at dollar CAD and dollar CHF. and then I'll go through New Zealand yen as well. So dollar CAD, this one I'm pretty bearish on. It's just no opportunity to short it. It's been falling out the sky since maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and it hasn't really provided much of a pullback since. But I'm not too worried about that because dollar CAD is a very choppy pair, and more often than not, it does pull back. So you don't want to be looking to chase dollar CAD. Dollar CAD is one of the worst pairs to actually go and chase unless you're going to be scalping. I say that because it reverts a lot of the time. Pullbacks are quite frequent. So it's best just to be patient and wait for price to come back to value before entering a position. If you're looking to chase, more often than not, you can be catching the top or bottom, especially when we're pulling back into areas of support like this as well. So that's not a good sign. So dollar CAD, the bias is for a swing back to these lows. Price essentially, if we go to the weekly chart, respect to the range high, roughly about 1.4, and struggle to sustain above that level. So you can see basically it's our range high, price to be consolidating, massive breakout earlier in the year. We then recovered that level. We came back for a retest. It looked like price was about to break out, essentially failed. Momentum's clawed back underneath the range. The chance of us pushing back to this low is now pretty high. So because of that, if we drop back to the 4-hour chart, all I'm looking for now is a correction of that bearish leg and then a continuation lower. And if I go to the daily, I've got a nice zone which I'm keeping an eye on, which is a bit of an overlap between support and resistance. We've got this kind of area here, provide nice resistance, support there as well. And you can see we had a lot of force pushing through that zone there too. And a quick little retest there too. So I would like to see a pullback into this area. Whether we do or not, different question, but I would expect dollar CAD to at least pull back to some degree. Whether it's exactly this level, we'll have to find out. But this is where I do have opportunity where I can base risk, find a nice entry on like a 4-hour chart and look for a pretty meaningful swing. If I can get a nice 4-hour entry, entries from here back to this low, you could be looking at 1 to 6, 7, 8 risk reward plus. Of course, this would be definitely a level to keep a close eye on, maybe a partial level or a level to remove risk. It depends how you want to manage it. But the bigger move, which I'm scoping out from the higher time frame, is still a push back to this low here. But yeah, we need that pullback. Hopefully that will come in the next week or two. And then some shorts look really good. Maybe some short-term buys could make sense, especially off support. It just goes against my high time frame buys, so I wouldn't really entertain it. But you do have a similar situation here. Again, if you look at the price action here, we have a bit of a consolidation. Price faked down, which is what all the USD pairs did to the other side. So pound faked up, euro faked up. Now we're seeing some momentum back into the level, but we're starting to fade at the high. So that's a bit of a red flag. If this is truly going to be a reversal, you want to see momentum persist through the zone, which is quite important. If you do start to fall, then this just becomes a lower low, and we can still continue lower. If this is just going to be price sweeping the lows, you want to see conviction. That indicates that we have taken substantial liquidity and the market can actually continue. So at the moment, the fact that we are stalling is a bit of a red flag for the buyers. If we just break through the next candle with some force, great. The buyers are back on, and then you could be looking for something like this, which pretty much mimics what we talked about on euro dollar and pound dollar. And in terms of dollar, I just type dollar CAD again. In terms of dollar CHF, dollar CHF is an interesting one because we're still in the range. So I wouldn't really be looking at trying to do anything in dollar CHF. I know, again, USD is looking pretty bullish now. Potentially dollar CHF will push higher. But do I want to be buying dollar CHF? Not at current prices, kind of a range I would suggest prices in, or could draw it from this low here. Right now, I wouldn't say we're trading at any area of value really, or solid value. You could say that we are coming back to some areas of support here, yes, but is it significant? No, not really. So if I'm buying this one, it would be short and sweet, not even for a push to the opposite swing of the range. It would be like for the day and then I'm out. Not that we can't see the swing, it's just I don't have anything to really support that thesis, support that move, especially with structure just above us here. So yeah, dollar CHF buys I am quite skeptical of, just because there's nothing really supporting it other than, yes, we saw some momentum here, but what's momentum in the middle of a range? You see momentum all the time. Momentum up, momentum down, momentum up, momentum down. It doesn't really mean anything because price is just congested. Momentum only means something if it breaks something significant, like structure, like a range. Yes, we have broke some significance in the low time frames, but that doesn't necessarily correlate with a push higher. So yeah, I wouldn't really be be focused on dollar CHF, not the prices we're trading. I think the other USD pairs we spoke about, even dollar CAD, which does support, looks a lot better. Let's take a look at New Zealand yen before I forget. So New Zealand yen, we spoke about this one briefly yesterday. I said prices coming back into a range. We could see some bullish pressure from here. And it looks like we are seeing that. So price came back into this area of value, nice explosion to the upside, and now we come back for a retest. Now it's important we do see momentum pick up here. If momentum fails, then the trade is likely to fail. So what I mean by that is, if this trend is the real deal, if this is strong momentum buys coming into the market, we have a pause, which the markets normally do, and then we see a resumption of that trend. That's a good sign. Buys still in control. Now we've pulled back into that zone. If buys are still in control, we do need to respect this and start to lift off. If we do start to consolidate here, momentum drops. Yeah, buys are not really in control anymore. This becomes ugly price action. It's 50-50 which way we go from there on. So if this is a legit retest, momentum should be picking up pretty soon. There's some signs of that with the ATAR starting to point up a little bit. So as long as that can persist, you've got at least a good probability price will come back to that zone. Of course, whether we break through that's a separate question. We'll see what happens when we get there and how prices are reacting, whether we're breaking through or coming back down. But at least if you can get to this zone, you can take some partials, lock in some gains, trade a stop, and then see what happens from there. So yeah, New Zealand, you are looking pretty good, I must say. Just keep an eye to see how we progress. If there is no progression, the market just stays flat. The trade's kind of not invalid, just not likely to commence anymore. And of course, might be waiting for like a news event for the catalyst for that, which again could happen on Friday there too, which is something that could definitely happen. But yeah, New Zealand from a structural perspective is still pointing up. So I would be pretty bullish in this one. It'd be nice if we can get a nice daily engulfing candle as well, just to support that direction. But yeah, hopefully that made sense on New Zealand yen. We can take a look at the DXY as well. I'm also having a short-term bearish view on pound USD. Nice, yeah, I would have a bearish view as well. Like I said, that VWAP below us is a bit worrying. I can't lie. If we can smash through that on the daily, things are looking good. We can drop a lot further, but intraday at least, shorts look good, at least towards that area. EuroCAD, S&P, we can take a look as well. Shorts at the daily, no problem. Is shorts on the daily time frame? Is that what you're saying? Gold, yeah, we can take a look at gold, yeah, below it as well. Actually, I haven't looked at gold since yesterday, so I'm actually interested to see what's going on with gold. Okay, so we start with EuroCAD. Have I missed out a pair? I don't think I have. If I have missed out a pair, someone's requested, I'm sure you guys will let me know. In terms of EuroCAD, so this is a pair which I am looking for a lot of downside in the long term. I just have to be careful with the timing of everything. Pound CAD's also another one of those. So again, the reason why I'm looking at a lot of downside, if I scale right to the monthly, again, context is everything in the FX markets. You can see where we're trading at extremes. Market is looking like it's losing momentum. If you can see price drop below, there's a good chance we're going to continue a lot lower. Effectively, this is a large range, and we could see price maybe claw back 50% of that. So it could be a big move. And if you look at history, price did the exact same pattern over here, swept the highs, reversed back down. Now in a similar situation where we're sweeping the highs, we could reverse back down. So EuroCAD is at a very sensitive price for a big reversal. As a result of that, I'm not really looking for any continuation trades. I'm not trying to follow this uptrend, even though it has been pretty significant. But there's clear signs we're starting to slow down, which is basically represented by all of these failed attempts to see new highs. Price keeps having a big push to the upside, but it just keeps fading at resistance. And now I see momentum breaking through lows. So there's a change of characteristic here. Of course, it needs the change of characteristic needs to sustain for us to fall, because of course things can change. We can suddenly break highs again. Well, that's a different scenario. So in terms of opportunity for EuroCAD, you mentioned some shorts on the daily chart. Let's have a look. See. Okay, daily chart. I don't mind it. I'll probably wait for us to pick up some more momentum, because essentially what we're saying here is prices consolidated, seen aggressive push down. So this is a sign to say that, okay, sellers are in control. If this is price forming a top, and this is price now changing trend, forming lower highs, then effectively we should respect this and continue lower. Breaking back inside that range is a red flag, and of course breaking above the range is a complete invalidation of that setup. What we are doing is we are rejecting. We are seeing some nice reactions there. Again, it would be nice to see a bit more momentum come back into the market. That could be a nice entry signal. And then, of course, targets, you could be looking around these lows here, 1.59, 1.585, or effectively at least that low there. But yeah, I can see the logic here from a daily. I like the setup. Structurally, it makes sense. We failed at highs. We failed to continue highs. And now seeing forced to the downside, especially shown by that candle. So in terms of market structure, everything is pointing down. And again, based on where we're trading the higher time frame, it makes sense to be looking for shorts. It makes sense to be looking for a reversal. It's just the entry confirmations where we're kind of lacking right now. And what I mean by that is momentum in our favor. This is a nice rejection, but doesn't really say much. We're still quite flat. It's still relatively 50-50. If you can see some force, well, that's a nice trade. So yeah, I think EuroCAD's got potential. S&P 500, you're shorting the S&P 500. That's brave. Not many people look to do that unless we're completely in a bearish market. And I wouldn't say we're in one just yet. Of course, that could happen, but we're not to know until it actually does. It would be nice if it could load, and then we'll take a look at gold afterwards. But if you are shorting S&P, especially on the daily as well, what you're basically saying, let me refresh the page. Especially what you're saying is that you expect to see at least some sustained bearish momentum. And typically, people who look to short the S&P normally keep it intraday, because they know that statistically the market's going to keep drifting up. Of course, if you're still in a bullish cycle, which we are still in, there's no key break of lows. The price is still probably above the 200 moving average. Statistically, we are in a bullish cycle, bullish phase. So in this environment, shorts have to be kept probably to a minimum intraday, most likely. Not that we can't see, consecutive bearish days. It's just less likely than seeing consecutive bullish days. So therefore, I wouldn't take a short on the daily. If I'm taking a short, it'd be like an intraday for the session, for the day. And then maybe if things are looking really good, I can leave a small position to run just in case we keep going. So from a daily perspective, I just think you're fighting a losing battle, really. The conditions don't make sense to be shorting. I know we've respected the highs here, and it looks essentially like we're getting a double top. But I need a lot more than that to convince me of a short, especially in a market like this. So yeah, for that reason, there's not a lot of analysis that goes into this apart from just looking at the trend and saying, do I really want to short the highs? No, I don't. That's really the analysis, to be honest, because this could be a double top. Price could drop. We don't have a lot of information to suggest that will or not be. It's just the market is trending, and I would want to short that, especially the S&P as well. And especially on a daily. You can get away with intraday setups because you're pinpointing and your targets are not that far. So you can get away with it, especially for the day. But short daily swing you're asking a lot there. We can go for gold next. Can the SP come at 50% retracement at 6,700 at least? 6,700. Okay. So you're looking to see if price can get there. It can. It can. Again, we're not here to predict things. We're here to trade reactionary. You know, if you want to be a good trader, you have to be able to react well. It's not necessarily predict well, because at the end of the day, you're fighting losing battle if you're trying to predict the market. It's about, okay, what's the market giving me, and what's the reaction I can take that actually makes sense, which is, you know, more often not likely to happen. Now, I wouldn't bet on that either to 6,700, because again, the more likely event to happen on the S&P in a bullish cycle is a move up, a pullback, and a continuation. That's going to happen repeatedly a lot. Something like this, when betting on the retracement, is just a more of a difficult bet, especially when price already showing signs of struggle at support here and already having a bit of a push up. Of course, whether that candle closes bullish or not, we'll find out. But there's clear struggle there, and I know the situation we're in. So I wouldn't even bet on a push to 6,700. There's nothing that says we should get there. So yeah, I just don't think it's a great trade. Now, we could very much get there. Like I said, I'm not trying to predict whether we get there or not. I'm just trying to say what is the circumstance of the market and what is the best play for us. The best play is still primarily looking for longs, but would I look to buy the S&P now? Probably not, because we failed the highs as well. This is a situation where I just not sell and not buy, and I just stand away. If I want to buy the S&P, I want to see us consistently breaking highs. That shows me that we're still commandingly bearish, commandingly bullish, and pullbacks are the best play there. So actually, at the moment, I wouldn't do anything. So yeah, I would avoid that setup personally. Or if you are going to trade it, just reduce risk. We'll go through gold next. So gold, I haven't actually spoken about, and I haven't actually looked at since yesterday's stream. So let's see what's going on here with gold. So yesterday's stream, I talked about a retest of this zone before continuation. Looks like we didn't get that. We did see a bit more downside, but not enough to test that level. Let's look at the 30-minute chart. Okay, so we did see price, okay, had no rejection in the middle, pushed to the high, which we talked about resistance here. Did respect it with a slight, I say slight, it's quite an exaggerated sweep of the highs there. We did get some continuation, but no follow through back to the low here. And now it kind of drifted to the upside as well. So at this point, I would avoid looking for any shorts. Because price is now taking out highs, respecting lows, and taking out highs again. And again, knowing what the high time frame is doing, which is still pretty bullish. Yeah, still seeing higher highs and higher lows, no break of structure. Yes, we are stalling. You see wicks there on the daily chart. If I remove my drawings there, you can still see wicks to the upside. So it's not necessarily a roaring bullish market like we were over here, but it's still 100% bullish. So because of that, especially if I drop intraday, I would refrain from looking to sell. Would I be looking to buy? Let me get rid of the analysis so we can see fresh eyes. Well, to me now, just this looks like a range here. You know, equal highs, equal lows, we're in the middle. This is effectively noise now. So do I want to look for anything in here? No, not really. I think inside here is going to be difficult. You're going to be prone to getting wicked out, prone to messy price action, especially on the lower time frame. You want to pinpoint where you want to enter and pinpoint your stop loss. It's going to be 10 times harder in these conditions. Unless you're buying at the low, of course, then yeah, you can pinpoint entry and stop loss and vice versa. But in the middle is no man's land. So from a lower time frame perspective, it's either two things have to happen here. Either price pushes back to the low, rejects well, and we can find a trade to push higher. Actually, three things could happen. We break out of this range, push into the more significant range in the 4-hour chart, and use that to potentially see a continuation, which is, let me just draw that again so we can see it a bit brighter, which is this zone. We could essentially have a deeper pullback into here, and then from here go bullish, or we just completely break out of this zone, and then you've got like a very small margin to trade there between the breakout of the high to the all-time high over here, and this becomes your tradable range. So with gold, bullish bias, so not really taking into consideration shorts now. Price is clearly consolidating there, so we've got a bit of balance building up. If price can push to the low, you've got opportunity, or push to this range, you've got opportunity, or break out. Anything else, I don't think is sufficient. But gold to me still bullish, so I think that will be the dominant move. Hey, what's up, Bashi? Welcome to the streamer, man. Hope you're doing good. Welcome, welcome. As always, drop a like, share. Appreciate the message, Bashi. Drop a like, share. Does really help out. If you are finding the channel useful, does really help out. And of course, share it with your friends and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with gold. It's still expecting more upside. It has been quite slow, to be honest. I'm not really looking to trade gold this week just because from a swing perspective, I don't really have a lot of room to work with. So that's why I'm not really interested. And well, I'm not really looking at it so much in my personal trading because we've got the highs just above us here. So, from a swing perspective, there is opportunity, just not that much. There's other pairs that can provide a bigger swing. Now, of course, gold could smash into highs and break through. And that's kind of what you'd be betting on price doing. I'd rather see that happen and then look for more pullbacks afterwards, sort of like what silver's doing. So very flat London today, no opportunities, Bashi. Well, I think we did see momentum yesterday because of NFP. So a lot of USD pairs did drop. We haven't actually looked at the DXY yet today. We did see momentum from NFP. It looks like things are maybe finding a little bit of support now or resistance for the DXY, I could say. Yesterday I was talking about price pushing to this low and then seeing a bounce, which I still do like the opportunity of, because for me, we turned bullish, not from really a significant area. This is clearly the low of the range, and this is clearly the high. I mean, if I kind of just clone that actually, and then bring this down, effectively you got your low and your high of the range there. So what we've done is more or less 50% of the range is where we're finding support, which is pretty common, to be honest, because 50% is where you got equilibrium. Naturally, you're going to see some type of reaction there from a technical perspective. But of course, we did have some important news yesterday, which is definitely the catalyst for that move. But you're going to see it anyway, even from a technical perspective, just from purely buying and selling. So where we've traded right now is not really a significant area on a daily chart. So I wouldn't necessarily go, okay, I'm expecting DXY to swing back to highs now. There's nothing really suggesting that, at least from a technical perspective. We've had a significant reaction at the highs. Momentum is still intact. If we do respect the high here, we can still very much keep falling, which is why I'd keep the USD bullish bias maybe just for this week for now. I think last week of moves. Yeah, that's true as well. We are coming up to Christmas too. I completely forgot about that. I think Christmas is next week, isn't it? Yeah, it is next week. So you're going to see, especially from next week. So next week, then into the week after, you got New Year's, and then week after, you got Jan. So probably from now, because we're coming to the end of the week, maybe people starting to close off positions, certainly the start of next week. So yeah, in terms of getting some real follow through, we probably won't get any of that till post holiday. The thing is, you can still get momentum. You can still get momentum, and the reason why you can get that, even though volume is dropping, is because there's less contestants. So it's not going to take as much buying pressure or selling pressure to move the market a certain distance. So because the market is still traded over the holidays, you can still actually see some momentum in the markets. It's just you're not going to see as much volume. So when you do see a bullish impulsive move over Christmas, over New Year's, it's not necessarily because there's a lot of people in the market, just because there's less people to go against that move. Therefore, you probably will actually see some momentum. So it's not that the market completely dries up, but because it does dry up in terms of volume, moves are less predictable, less tradable as well. And it's just not the best trading grounds, especially intraday to trade. So beware of that. Okay. US oil longs at daily or weekly. Okay, Rafael, we'll take a look at oil for you, no problem, because it took liquidity from the downside. Okay, we can take a look at that. KS Meds, what's up? What do you think about GJ intraday? Okay, I can take a look at that quickly as well. LFTJ, I know you'll be getting speeding tickets on Christmas. What do you do on Christmas? Well, no, are you talking about the Christmas day? I mean, the Christmas day, wait, are you talking about in relation to trading or just personal life? I'm not too sure what that question is referring to. If you're talking about trading, well, there's nothing to do. The market's closed. Yeah, and yeah, I'm pretty much spending time with fam during that day. So regarding trading, there's nothing really to do. During the Christmas period, if you're talking about trading, normally, well, especially for this year, normally I will still look for ideas, but primarily, normally I'm looking for ideas where price is quite stretched because I'm not really looking for big continuation opportunities just because there's less volume in the market. So if there's an opportunity where price is at a low of the range, I will still actually look to take that trade because naturally you do see a push just because there's not a lot of people to actually break the range. So you're naturally going to see a bounce anyway. So range plays actually become quite opportune. What's the word? High probability just because of the less participants in the market to protect it. Um, Generally, trading does slow down, so I'm not as active. And yeah, typically towards the end of the year, I'm a bit more reflective, just looking at my performance, what I did well, what I did poorly, what I could improve upon. A lot of that going to next year, and maybe any tweaks I can do to my trading plan. In terms of general life, yeah, just scaling down and spending more time with fam. Um, But besides from that, nothing exciting. To be honest, Christmas is just another time of the year for me, anyway. Uh, oh no, need to rebuild the engine. Damn. Sorry to hear that, Bashi. Fair's gonna have a nice upgrade there then. Thoughts on that? Okay, let me quickly go through some of these pairs. We'll go through oil, and then we'll go through. Someone else requested something. Pretty sure GJ intraday. So GJ intraday, oil. We take a look at NAS as well. Oh, you got a racing car? Well, you race cars, Bashi. It's an interesting little alternative side of the life of Bashi there. By day, trading, scalping the market. By night, doing a bit of Fast and Furious. Interesting. Anyway, we've got oil to speak about. So oil looks like it's having a bit of a bounce, and yeah, it has definitely swept the lows here. You're absolutely right. Would I look to buy this? No. Again, you have to understand the difference between a sweep of the low and a reversal. Price will always sweep lows and highs. That's just a natural mechanism of the market. It's going to take highs, going to take lows. Now, in a downtrend, price will take lows, but it doesn't necessarily mean that price is now going to push up. Price taking lows means that downtrend is actually still alive. We'll see how this candle does close on the weekly chart, because if it does reject and close like this, well, that is a sign that things are slowing down. But again, doesn't necessarily invoke buying. So yeah, we have effectively swept the lows, and what that does, it does give initial reaction. So that is a tradable opportunity. But in terms of this is something else. That's going to take a lot of buyers to come into play. There has to be a reversal kind of play there. Sweep of the lows is a part of that, but a lot more needs to come into play than just, okay, we swept the lows, we're just going to buy now, especially in a downtrend. So yeah, daily chart, we swept the lows. We might see a retracement of this leg, but again, I can't guarantee anything more than that. I mean, I can't even guarantee that, to be honest. A structure above us, we could potentially crawl back into those areas where that selling pressure came. But again, if I'm looking to trade this, it would be a very intraday opportunity where I'm scaling down to pinpoint my accuracy and then take the trade higher with superior risk to reward. Because if I'm trading this on a daily chart, it means my risk to reward is going to be awful pretty much because there's not a lot of room to trade. And again, I wouldn't necessarily say such a high probability to trade either. So Yeah, there is some room up to the upside. I do agree there with oil, but not like a reversal. We need more evidence for that. And then in terms of GJ intraday, then I'll quickly do NAS before we finish up. I don't think I've missed out any other requests. If I have, just drop it in the chat. GJ intraday, it's an interesting one. Momentum, I think pound's quite bearish today. Of course, doesn't mean it will be bearish throughout the day. Things can change, but I think potentially people are pricing in the rate cut tomorrow. So it's going to be difficult to see sustained momentum for a bullish pound. Intraday, let's drop 30-minute. Intraday, we're quite congested here. I mean, we are respecting a nice zone in the daily chart, but you know, is this an opportunity for us to buy or sell? Not really to me. It looks like price is just in a range here, so I wouldn't look to do anything there. Of course, we've had price accumulate and then a really strong move down. There's a world where we do push back up into this area and push down. I'd probably look to try and see if I can capitalize on range extremes. So if we can push right to the high here, we can see all those wicks collect in the 30-minute, and we can see more rejection. I think that's a nice short because you're positioned well, nice place for a stop loss, and you've got room to trade into. And that's just naturally going to be an area of value. Longs do make sense as well because you still do have that uptrend in the higher time frame. But again, I'll look at the range low to try and anticipate that. Anything here, I think is a bit futile. So yeah, pound yen intraday, very sideways market. I think we're kind of just building because we got two rate decisions for both of these currencies, pound and yen, in the next 24, 48 hours. So I think in terms of the next big expansive move, it's probably going to occur at the end of the week rather than now. So if you're intraday, fading the highs and lows, I think is the best bet. People are waiting, therefore not likely to see an early breakout, therefore a good time to be shorting highs and buying lows. And finally, NAS 100. Are we looking bullish there today? Yes, we are. We're seeing some upside. Again, NAS is a tricky one. I would still suggest we're bullish, still respecting structure on the daily here. We still got a swing high we could achieve over here. Is this a pullback for price to continue higher? I would expect it to be. We have come back into some nice value here. Momentum did push down, but no follow through. Now we can see prices start to die. If we can see momentum start to expand back up again, that will be a nice confirmation on the daily chart, at least for a push back to resistance here. If I drop to the 4-hour chart, 4-hour chart, momentum starting to pick up, but nothing has changed structurally on the 4-hour chart. This is still what gave us a last down move. So buying here, again, not the best time and place. But let's say price does keep expanding, we break through. Maybe this was a bit of a fake out. And then intraday, we can look for some corrections post break of the high and then a push back to resistance. Of course, being a bit careful here because this did give a big move down. So naturally, that could be an area to take profits. But yeah, we are seeing some momentum, and the zone here is holding, which is significant. It hasn't changed anything structurally, so it's not to say that okay, the market's likely to keep pushing up because we could still respect this area and push down, but it's a sign. And if you can get some real follow through, then yeah, continuations make sense. And even if you can back that with a nice strong daily close as well, that'd be great. Can you make for me a setup, please, for BTC? Can I make a setup? It's not like I'm not putting together a potion or something. Shadow, you shouldn't be looking for signals. Why? Good question. Well, actually, let's answer that question. Why you shouldn't look for signals? Well, number one, the reason why you shouldn't look for signals is because you need consistent. Because again, if you want edge in the market, it has to be a consistent execution on the same idea. So if your ideas keep changing, you're actually never going to actually extract edge because you're all over the place. So if you're going to actually be successful off signals, it means that you have to take every single signal, provided that the idea for the reason of the signal is the exact same. So if you're taking signals from person A and then person B, person C, person D, you actually just have no edge. You're probably just balancing everything out between everything. So there's actually no sustainability there. Now, if you're just following one person, that's again, provided they have profitable signals, then okay, there's something there. But then again, if they stop producing signals or potentially the reason they give signals changes, then that's going to affect your trading too, and you have no control over that. So effectively, you just have no control over your edge at all, even if you are regarding one person giving you really good signals, provided they are using the same edge. If things change there, well, then your edge dies. And like I said, if you're using multiple people, your edge is probably dead anyway. So because of that, you shouldn't take signals. And it's again the thinking with signals as well. You're looking for a quick pay, and the person looking for a quick payday in the markets doesn't have any sustainability that as well. So your whole mindset is wrong in trading too. You might make a quick payday now, but come back in 6 months, you've probably given that back a lot more. So yeah, for those reasons, I would say signals are not a good bet. So again, if you're thinking long term, you want to be trading long term, you're not going to find consistency from other people's signals. So yeah, hopefully that's answered the question. But anyway, guys, we have come back to the end of the stream. Appreciate it, Bashi. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. And if you have enjoyed the stream or learned something, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. I will be live again tomorrow. We've got an interesting day tomorrow. We've got ECB and pound interest rates later, so we can see what happens with that. As always, guys, if you did enjoy the content, drop a like, and of course, comment any video ideas you do want to see from the channel, any topics you want to see from the channel. Let me know. I'm taking ideas so I can kind of create a list of videos to create. But besides from that, guys, really appreciate you tuning in. Have a fantastic day. Thank you everyone for liking, subscribing. Appreciate that. Hope everyone has a great day. Stay safe in the markets and always take care. I'll see you in the next one.